The ultimate tool for any punk rock or hard rock guitarist is the power chord. And what we're going to do with this lesson is show you how to play some various power chord shapes and also give you a power chord exercise that's going to help prepare you to start learning some classic power chord songs. The easiest power chord shape to learn will be the open power chord shape. And you can play an open power chord shape using the bottom 3 strings or the next 3 strings with the 5th string bass note. But we're going to start with the bottom 3. And this is going to be an open E power chord, starting with the open 6th string, and then the first finger is going to lean on the 5th and the 4th strings along the 2nd fret. So this arpeggio for the E power chord should sound like this. And then you can shift the finger over with the 5th string bass note power chord. And this is going to be an A power chord. The open 5th string is A, and then it's the same shape as we played previously, just shifted over. And that would be an open A power chord. Power chords have a sort of heavy, nondescript mood or tone with their sound. And the best way to kind of hear how that tone stands out is to compare a power chord sound to a major and a minor chord. So we're going to go back to E for our example. And I'm going to start with an E major chord, and we're going to play an arpeggio of E major, just the bottom 4 strings. Now, if we were to lift our first finger, that becomes E minor. And then hopefully you hear that difference in tone between major and minor. It kind of goes from happy or relaxed to more sad or serious. Well, a power chord, we're going to go back to that original E power chord shape. It's a very sort of bland sounding mood or tone. It's neither happy or sad because we're leaving out that string or tone that produces that mood. So with the power chord, you just play 3 strings, and it's very bland sounding. And there are the 3 strings played together once you get them to sound clear. And I'm going to hit a button here that's going to give us some distortion or gain. There's a power chord sound with distortion. A movable power chord shape can be played with either a 6th string bass note or a 5th string bass note. And we're going to go to the 6th string bass note to start. We're going to be on the 5th fret here with our first finger, bottom string. And you have options on how to play a power chord. Here's the one that many guitarists play, and I happen to prefer this shape, and that is flattening your 3rd finger across the next 2 strings. So we have our bass note, bottom string, 5th fret, and then the 3rd finger, you're going to flatten your knuckle. It's going to lean across the 5th and 4th strings on the 7th fret. So here's how the arpeggio is going to sound. And then played together. Now the name of that chord is determined by the bass note. So the 5th string bass note is A. So what we're playing right now is an A power chord. Down the road, you're going to have to rely on guitar tabs and chord symbols to start teaching yourself. So it's important to know how a power chord is notated. Well, we already know an A major chord is notated with just the capital letter A. An A minor chord is a letter A followed by a lowercase m. A power chord is notated with the number 5 next to it. So down the road, you won't have to rely so much on the numbers on the tab. You simply look at the chord symbol, which is a number 5, and you'll be able to teach yourself songs a little bit faster. This A power chord shape using the 6th string bass note is a movable chord shape. As long as you know the chromatic scale, all you have to do is know the name of the bass note to know the name of the power chord you're playing. So if we're in A right now, we simply counted up the chromatic scale to A sharp on that 6th fret. This would be an A sharp power chord. And if you know your enharmonic notes and your chord synonyms, you could also refer to this chord as a B flat power chord. With that in mind, if you know the 12 notes of the chromatic scale, with this movable chord shape, you now have 12 total power chords in your chord vocabulary. From this A power chord, you can shift the chord shape over 1 string. So the 5th string is now our bass note, and the 3rd finger will be leaning on the next 2 strings, the middle 2 strings. Here's how the arpeggio would sound. Here's how the chord would sound. The name of this power chord is determined by the bass note. And this would be a D power chord. If we had to count up, starting on the 5th string open, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, a D power chord. And this is also a movable chord shape. So with this movable power chord shape using the 5th string bass note, we have another 12 power chords we just learned. For beginners, this power chord shape might initially be a challenge to play, especially when you have to flatten your 3rd finger across 2 strings. So if you're having trouble getting a clear sounding arpeggio, you can do this power chord exercise. We would start on the bottom 3 strings, the A power chord, and you simply try to get 3 clear sounding notes to sound on each arpeggio. Here's what I mean. And then keep the fingers pressed against the fretboard as you move up. And repeat this for a total of 5 power chord shapes. When you can get all 3 strings to ring clear, you have the power chord shape down. For some guitarists, having to lean that 3rd finger across 2 strings is simply too great of a challenge. So there is an alternate chord shape you can use, and a lot of guitarists rely on this one. And that is using your 3rd and pinky fingers to fret those 2 strings, the 5th and 4th strings. It's the same sounding chord. You're playing the same notes. The only difference is you're using 2 fingers to fret those 2 strings. Another alternate chord shape is to simply play 2 strings. The 1st and 3rd finger, you don't have to lean your 3rd finger on that extra string. However, the big advantage with the original chord shape we did show you is that with the 3rd finger down, once you get the hang of it, it's very easy to shift this power chord shape around. It's also a bit heavier sounding as opposed to just playing 2 strings. With these 2 movable power chord shapes, you now have 24 total power chords you can now play. In combination with the previous lesson, that's 36 new chords now added to your chord vocabulary. And that's a great foundation to set you up for the next level with chord vocabulary, and that's going to be lesson number 4.